So Biden's open border policies just continue to have just devastating consequences, with the latest being the murder of 22-year-old Laken Riley, a nursing student at Augusta University who was murdered by an illegal alien from Venezuela. Riley went for her usual morning run, on February 22nd along the University of Georgia's campus and didn't return. Hours later, her body was found in a wooded area near a lake with visible injuries, and earlier today they confirmed that she passed from a blunt force trauma to her head. That's where we want to welcome in U.S. Senate candidate for Arizona, Sheriff Mark Lamb, for his reaction. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining us here on Special Report.
Thank you for having me on.
This illegal alien first crossed illegally into El Paso, Texas, in September of 2022 under Biden's catch and release program, and was freed in the U.S. and then charged in New York City for injuring a minor. So what is your reaction to this tragic loss of life that seems very evident to most people, anybody with common sense, was completely avoidable?
Yeah, I'm disgusted. That's my reaction. I'm disgusted because we failed this family. We failed this girl's family. We failed this girl. Why? Because we should have stopped these people. We shouldn't be allowing these people to come into this country unfettered. I talked to the Border Patrol a while back, and they were saying, look, we don't have enough staffing. We're only able to vet about 5% of the people coming across. And the numbers have gotten worse since that time that I heard that from the Border Patrol. And I think the number was over 16,000 people that were caught last year coming into this country that had criminal histories in our country or that were criminals in their own country. And there's no way for them to really, truly know what kind of criminals we're letting in. And now we see, as this family has found out, one of these criminals made it by, and we had chances to hold them accountable, and we failed them.
Yeah, Sheriff, this morning you were on American Sunrise, and you were mentioning that a lot of times when there is a crime, they don't report that it was an illegal alien who had committed it. Are they allowed to even ask when the criminals, are they allowed in some states to ask them if they're an illegal alien? Or I know a lot of those murders that could be happening that we just don't hear that it's illegal alien.
Yeah, some states, they're not allowed to ask. We are a 287G jail, which means if you come to my jail, we're going to determine whether you belong in this country or not. And then we notify ICE. Here's the troubling part. ICE is no longer picking anybody up that is doing time in my jail for a crime they committed in this country. So basically, we're having to release these people back to the street. And that is somewhere where the federal government is failing because they don't have enough staff. They've let too many people come in here. And they're also doctoring the stats to where they don't want to let the people know that a lot of these crimes are being committed by people that are in this country illegally. I was looking at an article last night from 2018 where they were mentioning that a lot of crimes, specific crimes, were being committed by people, a higher percentage by people that were in this country illegally.
Yeah, so you're committing a crime, then another crime, and then another crime because you entered the country illegally, which is a crime in itself. Right. But Sheriff, the brother of this illegal alien was arrested for using a fake green card, a fake ID. We have no idea who these people are, and this is one person, and there are millions, as you know, of illegals in the states that we don't have any background on. President Trump slammed Biden for his open border policies, promising the largest deportation ever. A lot of people are scratching their heads. I mean, if someone can do it, it's definitely him. But how can we do it? Because it seems like it's just getting worse and worse by the minute.
I think a lot of times we get hung up on the how. Like, well, how are we going to do this? And oftentimes we don't do what's right because we're too concerned about the how. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to get it going. We cannot reward bad behavior. You cannot give mass amnesty to these people. They broke the law. That would be unfair. It would be counterintuitive to what America is and our rule of law and the justice system. This administration has created a real problem. There's going to be some painful times and some hard decisions that are going to be made to fix this problem. But we can do it. And let's not get hung up on the how. Let's focus on why we need to do it, and let's put one foot in front of the other. And I'm confident that as Americans, we'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing out of this situation, this was a Venezuelan illegal immigrant. And, Biden first allowed him to cross illegally into El Paso in the first place. But he also provided protection status for over 500,000 Venezuelans in September 2023, preventing them from being deported and giving them expedited work visas. And we're looking at now the consequences of that. And the Venezuelan Bloody and Savage gang is the fastest growing and most violent gang in the world. And now they are operating here in the United States. And when you look at the Venezuelan illegal immigrants that we know about, that we hear about, they're responsible for dozens of murders in New York City alone. And also they were responsible for the 15-year-old who was charged with shooting a terrorist and a police officer in New York. And 2 Venezuelans had participated in that brutal attack on New York City policemen. So how dangerous are the Venezuelans alone that Biden gave protective status to?
Yeah.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. You just mentioned all those crimes, not to mention there's these home break-ins which are being done by Venezuelan gangs and Chilean gangs. We're seeing more and more and more crime, and a lot of it is being committed by these people from Venezuela that have come in here. Now, we also heard President Trump talking about how these countries are opening their prisons and dumping their prisoners, their criminals, off us. And I'm sure what we're seeing is a byproduct of that. So, yeah, this is a real problem. It should be on a list of people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. Look, there's a lot of problems. I can keep the wolves from coming into my herd. But at some point, if you don't go out and hunt those wolves, they're just going to multiply. And eventually you won't be able to keep them out. And look at New York, Chicago, a lot of these places, they can't keep those wolves out anymore. We need somebody that's going to go back to D.C. that understands what the rule of law means, what crime is, how to fix the border. And that's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate here in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, we need something to change quickly because it is completely transforming America, and it is costing us in more ways than one.